Hi, Kathryn here with Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Today on my work table, I will be working on a couple of gemstone chip necklaces for the summer. This is part of our summer collection. I actually will be working on two, and I have a third style I am working on that I will try to get finished before this goes up, but if it doesn't, I will send pictures out. This is a tie necklace, and so let's turn our eyes to the mat and let's get started, shall we? Summer fun. So as I turn my eyes down to our work table, I see my beautiful mat that says Simply Grateful. Sorry about this, I'm having to do some house cleaning here because I didn't wipe it off ahead of time. But as I was thinking about today, I wanted to talk about being simply grateful for the little things in life. I get to go to the movies once a week during the summer with my grown daughter, and it is amazing. And the even more amazing thing is that not only does she enjoy going to the cartoons with me, but we have provided with this summer movie camp, and you have a Coke and you have a drink and a popcorn and you get to see a fun cartoon. And I think that's wonderful. But the biggest blessing is that the Lord has provided my heart with a way to spend quality time with my youngest daughter. And that is simply amazing. Sometimes we take for granted the little things He has placed in our lives. I've been doing this summer movie with her whole life. And now she's a grown woman. And she still wants to do the summer movies with me and will make time for me to do that. Isn't that amazing? I think that's something to be simply grateful for. How about you? What do you have to be simply grateful for? All right, let's go ahead and turn our eyes to the supplies for today. So we're going to start with this beautiful resin pendant. This is a teardrop pendant. It runs about 1 1/4 inches in length. It is cast with alcohol inks, and it has a beautiful frothy wave look to it with the blue of the water and the white froth of it. And then we're adding to that a beautiful seahorse and freshwater pearl charm. Next up on the list will be these beautiful quartz crystal chips. I just love the clearness of this. Again, it kind of looks like water droplets. It's perfect for the summer necklace. Then coming up, once I get all these pushed over to the side, we're going to use some gorgeous malachite chips. Look at the green and blue of those chips. It is perfect for this necklace. Then I will be using some 4mm silver spacer balls. And let's see, what else am I using? I remember freshwater pearls. Now I have a pin available for your freshwater pearls, and I'll tell you why later. A pin, a sewing pin. And then these are silver daisy spacers. They're the larger ones. They run about 4mm to 5mm in length. Now the next thing is our cording. So this is a lovely blue-green, and it is a nylon Chinese knotting cord in a 0.8mm. You don't want it any bigger than a 0.8mm because it has to get through those freshwater pearls. Now what I'm doing is, I'm sorry my hands are off, but I am measuring to make sure I have enough cording. I'm going to do a 30-inch long necklace for summer. So I am going to do about 40 to 45 inches in the cording. I put the ends together once I've cut it so that I can find the end of it, because I always start my necklaces that I'm going to tie or almost always, can't say always, but almost always in the middle. So what are we going to do here? Now you don't have to put a point on this, I do later, but you can just, it's stiff enough that you can just put it through your chips. I'm starting off with a silver spacer ball, and then I am adding the quartz chip. Now when you see these chips, you'll see a little white line going down the center of them, and if you can spot that line and where the hole begins, it makes it much easier to put these chips on. I am not using a needle for this, even though my fingers are going, what do you think you're doing? And that's simply because if I had done a 0.5 millimeter, I would have, but I don't think that both cords would go through, especially the pearl. So I've got 2 of the Crystal Quartz chips on, along with that spacer ball, and I'm going, well, I didn't like that chip. Now I try really hard to be random with my chips to give it that natural look to it, because these chips are not going to lay the way you want them to, but I do like them to at least touch each other with not a large gap. So after I get 2 of the crystal chips on, I'm putting on one of the daisy spacers, and then my malachite is smaller, even though it came in the same set, and I got a set of these chips off of Amazon, but it's very good quality. And if it's still available, because I bought it in the middle of the year last year, I will put a link down below for you. But I'm putting on 2 of the malachite chips, and then I'm going to put on another daisy spacer. And yes, I know the daisy spacers are a little big for the malachites, but I like the way it sets it off. It looks gorgeous in the end. And then 2 more of the crystal chips. So for this set, we have 2 of the crystal chip, well, first the spacer ball, 2 of the crystal chips, a daisy, 2 of the malachite chips, a daisy, 2 of the crystal chips, and a spacer ball. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now from there, we're going to do a little something different. On my spacer ball, I'm putting on one of the freshwater pearls. Isn't that lovely? And then I'm going to put on another spacer ball, just like that. And then I'm going to put on again 2 of your quartz crystal chips. I love them. They're so clear. They're just gorgeous. And then from there, I will put on a daisy spacer, and then 2 of the malachite. These are so pretty. Wait till you see the finished piece. It's just gorgeous. And then another daisy spacer. Whoop, almost got the wrong thing. And then 2 of your quartz, and then another spacer ball on there. Now normally, whenever I'm doing this type of tie necklace, at least in the past, I put a few things in the center, and then I spread out my components all the way up. Well, this will be a little different. I wanted weight at the bottom of this necklace for the summer, and so I'm going to put quite a long band of beads on the bottom, and I'll show you when I get to that. But now that we've got 2 of these together, let's see, oh, there it is. Then I am going to find the middle of my necklace again. So I'm putting the ends together. Remember, I told you I was building this from the middle out. Alrighty, let's see here. Now make sure whenever you're doing that you put your little fingernail right after that spacer so that you can find the middle. Now once I have found the middle, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to make a loop just like that. I'm going to go through the back of the loop, and then I am going to tie a knot, pushing and pulling right till it gets to that spacer bead, just like that. Then I'm going to go and put on 2 spacer balls, and this is for a bell to ride on. So I'm putting on the 2 spacer balls, and then I'm going to do another knot. You have the loop, you put it through the back of the loop, and you can put it on the board if you're having trouble getting that loop all the way down. And to be real honest, I had worked on the rose bushes today, and my hands are tired. And so I put the pin into my cloth, and then I tighten the knot up, and it's tight together, just like that. Now that is the middle and one side of my component. Oops. Alrighty. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to pull that up and make sure that my ends still come together, which they do, and I'm going to build this pendant. Now, at first I was going to use this one, and this is something to take into consideration. I did not realize how small the teeth, the grabbing teeth on this push bell was, or pinch bell was, so I ended up using this type of pinch bell. Now I opened it up, it has longer teeth, I put it in the back, I put my pinch bell on the back, then I put up my charm, and you could use any charm. This is a charm I made. It has a decorative loop, then it also has a seahorse on it, and then I had made a little bead charm with that freshwater pearl, and that's what the completed pendant is going to look like. I pinch it down with my fingers, and then I will take my, right here, these little pliers here that has that nice finish, soft finish, so it's not going to scar up my bell, and I'll put it between there, and I'll very gently mash it until I'm sure that it's closed. And this is the pendant that I'm going to use. Now, the bell itself is silver plated, but my charm isn't, but that's okay. It's still going to be beautiful. Now then, once your bell is finished, because we're starting in the center of the necklace, we're going to have to put that bell onto the cording. And you want to make sure that the bell itself is going to go through whatever you're using for the bell to ride on, and mine does. It goes through just like that. The other thing you want to make sure of is that you have the front on whatever you're going to make the front of your necklace, because the bell itself has a marking on the back that tells you it's silver plated, and you don't want that on the front. So when you're putting it together, make sure you get the back of the bell on the back of the pendant. Now then, since I have already tied that off there, I'm going to go ahead and make the matching middle of the necklace. So again, it will be with your spacer ball, 2 of your quartz, a daisy, 2 of your malachite, a daisy spacer, oop, get back in line, Kathryn, and 2 of your quartz chips, and another spacer ball. You see, once you start looking for those little lines down the center of your chips, especially when they're light, because the other one I am making is a Citrine and Green Adventurine, and I really had to look for the little drill hole, the drill line when it went through the chips, so that I could find the way these were going to go. Once I do that and I get that on, then when I get to the spacer ball, I put on my freshwater pearl, I put on another spacer ball, and then I'm going to complete the process. So this is, let's get this down here. So we're going to look at it just like this. And that's going to be the beginning of the center of the necklace. Now on other pieces that I have done, I would stop right here and then I would put single components all the way up. But that's not what I'm doing with this one. I have a slightly different design, a weightier design, a more substantial look for the summer, and I really love it. I think it's beautiful, and it really gives it that light and airy summer feel using this beautiful colored cording. And the chips are just gorgeous, and you get the beauty of a lot of gemstones without the weight of big pieces, and I really like that. So I'm finishing this up. We will have 2 complete components on both sides, and then I'm going to go ahead and tie another knot. And there goes. Ooh. One of the things about these spacer balls is I know that they plate them, but it gets stuck sometimes. Now, isn't that lovely? And I have to throw them away because I got stuff in the holes I can't even get out with a pin. All right, so we're making our loop, and we're going to go ahead, go in from the back, and we're going to cinch this down right up against that spacer bead, so there's very little give between it. Now that is 2 complete components, and they're joined together in the middle with a freshwater pearl. So now then, once I make sure this is where I want it to be, I have to go back and I have to tie the other side because I did not remember to tie the other side, but I will do that. Now, isn't that pretty? If you make a knot on one side, you need to make a knot on the other side. So once I have done that, then we will continue on with the middle of the necklace. Now from this point on, I will be doing one side and then I'll be doing the other side simultaneously so that they will go together. Now this is why I said you may need a pin. With some of these, when you drill them, the middle of the pearl gets stuck, and I don't know why not all the pearl dust comes out, but it doesn't. So I will take this trusty pin right here. It's small on the end, but it gets a little bigger as it goes down. And I'm going to see if I can get it to go all the way down so that it will clear out the hole, and it will actually make the middle of the hole slightly larger. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But there it is, and it went right through, and that's with a straight pin that you're using from your sewing. All right, once I get the pearl on, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on this spacer ball, and then I'm going to continue. Now then, one of the things we're going to continue with is we're not going to be putting as many knots in this next section. So once we have our spacer ball, we'll go ahead and put on 2 of the chips, the quartz, a daisy, 2 malachite, a daisy, 2 chips, and a spacer ball. And while I'm doing that, would you take a moment and like and leave a comment for this video? And if you haven't subscribed already, would you please subscribe and share with someone? That will really help this channel. I thank you so much. I really do appreciate you watching, your comments, your likes. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Alrighty, we're putting on our spacer ball right there. Let's bring this down. And so now we have a completed next section. Now, if you'll notice, when we finished the section that we tied the knot in, we started out with a freshwater pearl, a spacer ball, and then continued the component, because freshwater pearls, if you notice, are actually joining the two components together. So I'm having a little issues with my pearl right here. I will probably bring the pen over. Yep. Brought the pen over, made the hole bigger, and got the pearl to go on. So once my freshwater pearl is on, then I will go ahead. It's beginning to fall off the picture because I haven't noticed yet that my necklace is getting long enough that not all of it is going to stay in the picture. But I'm going to go ahead and put the freshwater pearl and start the component with a spacer ball, 2 of the crystals, just like that, and then the daisy spacer and 2 of the malachite, just like that, and then a daisy spacer, 2 more of the quartz crystal chips, then a spacer ball, and then I'm going to set this side down, and I will repeat this pattern on the opposite side and see you in a minute. So here we are. We are back, and I have done both sides and ended both with a spacer ball. Now I'm going to flip this around so that maybe you can see how I'm working. And the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to tie a knot. Now I've already tied the knot at the bottom of at the top of the component I just finished. So I've measured out about 1.5 inches. You see, I'm making sure the knots are together. Then I'm going to pinch it with my thumb and forefinger where I want the next knot to be. And I'm going to pull that knot down till it touches my finger. Now, before I tighten this knot, because I have had to pick them out with pins before, I'm going to make sure that the knot is matching. And it does, just like that. And now that is the first part of the necklace finished. Now I'm going to give it a little space, and I'm going to do the components again. This time I will be repeating what we just did in the second part of the necklace. So I'm going to start with a spacer ball, which I put on, and then I'm going to do 2 of the quartz chips, just like that. I have to make sure I can find the hole. Now, I found something really interesting with some of these quartz chips. The holes were very, very close to the edge, and I couldn't use those. I was afraid they'd break. So if you have that, don't worry about it. Just pick them off and stick them to the side. You can always put them in a pendant locket. So again, to start this off, it is your spacer ball, 2 quartz, daisy, 2 malachite, daisy, 2 quartz, and then your spacer ball. So it's the same thing we did to build up the necklace, the center of the necklace. Now the center of the necklace, it has some weight on it because it is chips, but it's not like if you put this many beads on it. And it's really beautiful because it just shows the beauty of those chips, and the gemstones are beautiful. I think glass is beautiful. I think the Lord gave us the ability to make glass, and it's shiny and it reflects the sun, and it's amazing. But the gemstones from the earth, from His hand, are awesome. So now then, unlike other necklaces I have done like this, we're going to go ahead and put a substantial amount going up the side of the necklace on either side once you've got the lower edge. So just like we did the second section of the middle of the necklace, we're going to do 2 components that are joined together with a freshwater pearl. So I put the pearl on, and I'm putting on the components now. If we end with, in the section, if we end with quartz crystal, we're going to have spacer balls and freshwater pearls to join the next component. That gives this a lovely feel of water, and that's what I wanted for the summer. I don't know about you, but we live in Texas and it is hot. So I have stopped on one side once I got the freshwater pearl on, and now I'm putting the freshwater pearl on the other side. So I have a single component, and then I have the freshwater pearl, and now I've done a single component, and I'm taking my needle and going, oh, come on, I need one that works. And you know, I'm not really sure why some of them work and some of them don't, since they were all probably drilled at the same time on the same machine, but they don't. And can you see the powder on the end of the cording? That powder is actually pearl dust. And again, since I don't understand the process, I'm not sure why it does that. But I put it on, I put another component, and now at the top on both sides, once the components are on, I've tied my knot. I'm using my pin to hold it in place right up against that spacer ball, and then I am pulling it down so that it will be tight enough, but not so tight that it buckles. Now this is interesting. You see that I'm doing another knot directly over my first knot. That's because my hand slipped and I didn't get it right up against the spacer ball. And you can do this. Jump the knot that you just made and tie cinch down right up against the beads to make a slightly bigger knot, but it takes the space up so that they will sit properly. All right, so now that I've got that done, now I'm going to go ahead and tie another knot just like that. Come on, Kathryn. There you go. I'm going to make sure the knots line up. That's one of the reasons I always start at the center. Now you can do a whole side, lay it out, and then do the next side, and I've done that too. I just find it easier if I lay it out on a flat surface and do that first. Now, for this next one, we have gone from a large section in the middle to components on either side, two components joined with a freshwater pearl. I've made the same amount of space, and now I'm going to do a single component. And what are the components? That's right. 2 of the quartz, spacer ball, 2 quartz, a daisy, 2 of your malachite, a daisy, 2 of your quartz, and a spacer ball. Now see, you're going to remember that in your sleep, right? I love these necklaces. I have so much fun telling you about these necklaces. Now look at the end of my thread on this side. It was beginning to get tired, so I just lit the end of a match and stuck it there, and they'll melt because it's nylon. And while it's still warm, I know it has to be, or gentlemen, it has to be warm. You're going to pull it out and it gives you this little thread. And it's easier to get it through the beads that way. One of the reasons I wait to do this is because once you start this, you have to continue doing it because the little end wears out. And I want to make sure I have enough thread for both sides of my necklace. I've done a single component, no freshwater pearls in this one. And then I am tying the knot, and I'm going to pull it down to my bead just like that. I put that straight needle right up against it. Then I pull one way and pull the other until that knot cinches right up. Then I'll do the other side. So what we're going to do again is we're going to put on a single component starting with a spacer ball. This is really a beautiful necklace. There is so much you can do with corded necklaces because you could do single cords or double cords if your beads have their holes big enough to to take a double cord. There's wrapping you can do. There's knot tying you can do. It's just so much fun to work with these cords. Now, this Chinese knotting cord, I looked and it is still available on Amazon where I got it. Any of your Chinese knotting cord at about a 0.8 millimeter. You don't want it any bigger than that unless you're working with really large hole beads. They do have it bigger, but for the type of beads I work with, that just will not do. But it is on Amazon. I don't know of any other place this type of cording is available. I'm sure it's out there. It's just what I have available to me. And so if you want some of this cord in all its beautiful colors, give Amazon a look. And this is not a plug because Amazon plugs me. It's because that's what I have to work with for the most part. All right, so now then I have gone up quite a ways. I'm getting towards the end. This is going to be the piece that lays on the back of the neck. I'm tying another knot. This will also be a longer section than the sections we've been working with because I need about 4 or 5 inches to come around the back of my neck. And so, you know, and depending on where you want your single component part of the necklace to lay in front, that lets you know about where you want to tie your knot. Now, to finish off this necklace, I am going to put on 3 of the spacer balls. I have made sure my knots lay right next to each other, and so I have the spacer balls that are going to go just like that. It's something I always do to finish off my necklace. Now then, I am going to use some 11-0 seed beads. It doesn't matter what color it is, they're not going to show. And I'm going to use 2 clamshell to finish off the necklace. These are little findings just like this, and they look like little open clams, and they call them clamshells. And it looks just like that. Oh, Kathryn, put your hand back. But I open my clamshells up slightly and go ahead and you put the cording through the back of the clamshell because this clamshell is going to close and hide your end of your necklace just as if it were a little pearl. So once I've got the clamshell on, I'm putting on the 11-0 seed bead, and you know what? I can tell that I'm getting tired. When I get tired, I bring things closer to my eyes so that I can see. But I've opened up the clamshell a little bit. I put that seed bead all the way down, and I'm doing exactly the same knot that we have done before. And I'm sorry my fingers are too big and you can't see it, but you're cinching that knot right up against your seed bead. And I am actually using a pair of pliers to make sure that cinches all the way down once I've got, and the knot is tight. Now you can do a second knot if you have room, or a single. Now I'm adding a little bit of Gorilla Glue, and you know what? I forgot to turn the camera on when I went to show you the Gorilla Glue, but I'm adding a little bit of Gorilla Glue, and then I am pinching that clamshell closed, or almost closed, and then I am going to take my flush cutters and I'm going to cut right up against the edge of that clamshell. Then I am going to take my trusty little, let me see if I can get a needle, and I'm going to poke the end of anything that might be sticking out and maneuver it so that nothing is sticking out, and then I'm going to close it really tight. And if any glue has squished out the top, I will take that same little needle and I will poke it through until there's no glue in the center, and then I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. We're putting the cording through the back of the clamshell. We're putting on an 11-0 bead. I'm going to open that clamshell up just a little bit so that 11-0, yeah, I forgot to open it. Okay, now I'm opening up a little bit. I'm going to make my knot, just like we've been doing knots for this whole piece. And I'm going to take my needle this time. Sometimes I have to use that needle, especially when my eyes get tired and they go, really, aren't we through yet? Remember, I've already made a necklace before this and started another one. Okay, and so I'm cinching it down into the clamshell. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, pull it tight so that that knot goes right up against that clamshell. I'm going to begin to pinch it closed. There's the Gorilla Glue. I'm going to take the clear drying Gorilla Glue, put a teeny bit on a toothpick, because when I was young and I tried to do it without the toothpick, I splatted it all over the desk. So I use a toothpick. I'm putting it not only on the clamshell, but on the knot, so that knot will glue together. Then I'm going to take the flush cutters and cut it. And I don't think I have anything to squish down in this one. And I don't. Look at that. And so now I'll let them dry for a few minutes and come back. And click, we're back. So now with a curved nose and chain nose pliers, I'm going to take my jump ring, and I'm using a 4mm for one side and a 5mm for the other. This is the 4mm. I open one side of the jump ring and hold the other one steady, just one side, twist the wrist, then twist the wrist back on one side, and that way you don't take a chance of springing your jump ring and it letting go when you least expect it. Make sure you touch the top of the jump ring with your finger. If it's rough, it's really not closed. It's either too high or too low or twisted to one side. And if you have glasses like my glasses, you have to trust your feel sometimes to make sure that these are closed. And so now I'm doing the 5mm on the other side. I'm putting it through the clamshell, closing it up, filling the top, and it was smooth, so that is finished. Kind of makes you want to say, yay, finished. But we've still got to close up the lobster claw, and now the necklace is complete. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the way that charm rests on that beautiful teardrop pendant. I love that. And the colors in this necklace are just perfect. They just speak to my heart of summer and water and green and waves. I just love it. All the best things of summer. Isn't that pretty? And it looks gorgeous on that beautiful blue-green cord. And here it is on our little heart. And it has such a classy look to it. And it's long, so it can be worn with a shirt and t-shirt, or with a slightly dressier shirt and a overshirt, or some kind of shawl if it's on a cool summer breeze, especially at the ocean. Not that I've got to go to very many oceans, but I know it does get cool at night. Isn't that lovely? What a beautiful piece. So let's move on to the other piece that I have finished, a part of this Summer Fun collection. This again is that teardrop in the RB resin. I'm sorry, the UV resin. I got RVs on the brain. I'm ready to go on vacation. Can you tell? All right. And this is in a beautiful frothy at the bottom with the reflection of the sun at the top of that teardrop. And it has a starfish charm in gold. Again, this is a gold tie necklace. It has the same look of the the heavier portion at the middle of the necklace. It goes up in twos and then to a single and finishes out with the spacers. And I think it's beautiful. It's in Citrine and Green Adventurine, if I haven't said that. And it is also up in the shop. I'm trying to give you a close-up of that pendant. Isn't that beautiful? I just love it. It's such a pretty little thing. And they're so delicate looking and yet make such a statement. I really, really love them. Okay, here are some pictures. Again, starting out with the quartz and the malachite and the freshwater pearls. As I said, both of these will be up in the shop at circleartdesigns.net. And I have another one that's made out of coral that I'm working on now. If I get it finished, I will get it up in the shop. Thank you again for joining me on this wonderful beading adventure today. I have had so much fun. I hope you have had fun too. I love laughing. I love laughing at myself. I'm assuming I'm laughing with you, and I love learning new things. So again, thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful, blessed weekend, and I will see you next week. Kathryn, handmade by Circle Art Designs. God bless y'all.